In the rolling plains of North Texas, 1870s, the land was caught between peace and conquest. Treaties were fragile, hunger was rising, and the line between civilization and savagery was drawn not in ink, but in blood. This is the story of an attack that history nearly forgot, when a group of peaceful indigenous hunters, seeking food for their starving families, were gunned down by Texas Rangers under the command of Lieutenant George Washington Arrington. Once hailed as heroes of the frontier, the Rangers' actions that winter day would leave behind a scar, not just on the land, but on the moral fabric of a growing nation. By the mid-1870s, Texas was a violent borderland between indigenous nations, buffalo hunters, and settlers. The U.S. government's treaties promised peace, but rations often failed to arrive. Tribes were starving. Many native people still relied on hunting parties to survive, and those hunts sometimes crossed into forbidden areas, which the Rangers interpreted as trespass. Among those policing this contested land was Lieutenant G.W. Arrington, a former Confederate soldier and later sheriff, known for his discipline and his ruthlessness. Arrington's men were part of a force intended to keep order, but whose order that was depended on which side of the rifle you stood. In early autumn, a small band of indigenous hunters left their camp on the reservation to find deer and buffalo. Their people were hungry. They carried only bows and simple firearms. No war paint, no stolen cattle, no threats. Elder Wakika, we hunt to live, not to fight. The land remembers our footsteps. But to Lieutenant Arrington's Rangers, any movement beyond reservation borders was suspicious. There was paranoia among settlers. Every native group outside reservation lines was viewed as a potential raiding party. Arrington received word of Indians seen hunting near the Peace River. Without verification, he mounted a patrol to intercept them. On that fateful day, the Rangers rode out armed, uneasy, and driven by orders to clear the area. Ranger McKay, Lieutenant, they're just hunters. Look, no war gear. Arrington, they're trespassing. If they run, we fire. The indigenous hunters saw the Rangers approaching and lowered their weapons, signaling peace. Elder Wakika, we hunt only to feed our children. We mean no harm. But fear and arrogance spoke louder than reason. Accounts suggest that one gunshot, possibly accidental, set off the massacre. When the smoke cleared, the hunters lay dead or dying. They had carried no stolen goods, no threat, only the right to live. Lieutenant Arrington reported the encounter as a successful defense against raiders. Newspapers printed his version, few questioned it. There were no photographs, no inquiry, no punishment. To the state, it was another victory. To the tribes, it was another betrayal. The families of those hunters never saw justice. The survivors buried their dead in silence. Elders descendant. My great-grandfather used to say the wind still remembers their names. He said the Rangers came like wolves, not to protect, but to erase. Lieutenant Arrington continued to rise in rank, later serving as sheriff in Childress County. Some called him a hero, others a killer in uniform. He was a complex man, loyal to his men, brutal toward anyone labeled an enemy. He helped establish law in a chaotic frontier, but that law was built on violence against native people. More than a century later, historians began to uncover what really happened. Organizations like Refusing to Forget are restoring the stories that official history buried. These events weren't isolated. They were part of a larger pattern of state violence meant to clear indigenous people from their land. Remembering the Peace River hunters isn't just about the past. It is about acknowledging the cost of silence and the resilience of memory. Elders descendant, they called it justice. We call it survival. History is not only what we remember, it is also what we choose to confront. The plains still whisper of that day, when peace came to hunt and was hunted instead. If you've enjoyed riding through history with us today, saddle up for more untold legends of the Wild West. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss a new journey into the forgotten frontier.